Good evening. Welcome to the GDG live stream for November 2020. Just popping in to say a little hello before I hand over to the speaker of the evening. Um, I'm Rory, by the way, if anyone's new. Yeah, so I know things have been very quiet for our little GDG chapter, at least in terms of Dublin exclusive content. We weren't seeing an awful lot of people joining these events, so we decided we'd put them on hold. But you know, we haven't forgotten about you. We will be back. In the meantime, we're partnering with GDG UK and Ireland and doing events with them. So you will see those through Meetup mostly, and I would encourage you to check those events out. They're really good series. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If anybody has any specific topics they'd like GDG Dublin to cover, um, email me, rory at appz.ie, and just tell me about it, or reach out to me on LinkedIn or Twitter, anything like that. I'm easily found. You can just search for Rory Glynn. It's very easy to find me. I don't hide. So yeah, and if there's a pet topic you'd like to speak about or you'd like to hear about, just let us know. And yeah, so without any further ado, I'm gonna hand over to Leonardo here by clicking one of these buttons. This one. Ta-da!
Yeah,
Okay.
we're ready. Okay, let's share my screen. So, hello everyone. Good evening. It's a big pleasure to be here, especially in a GDG event. I have been part of a chapter in Brazil for some time, and it's nice to be back. And especially today, it's my first presentation in English. It's a good milestone for me. And please be patient with my broken English. I hope that it can work and I can communicate well with you. Can I just have a confirmation if you can see my slides? Yeah. Okay. Great. 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 Okay.
One thing I forgot to say, if you have any questions, just pop them in the live chat on YouTube and we'll address them at the end. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Tonight we're gonna talking about Mobx. Mobx is a easy way to think about state management. And who am I? It's a quite deep question. I'm not a psychologist to answer it, but let me try. I am Leonardo. You can call me Leo if you want, please. I have been teaching web development since 2000, and I have been out of the classes for a short while since I came to Ireland. Currently, I'm a senior front-end developer in Toast, and I have been passing through a couple of different revolutions in web development, and here we go once more. I was there when HTML4 was released, CSS3, tableless, web standards, and ever those things, and here we go, and let's try to do it. Okay, as I mentioned it, I work in Toast. Toast is an American company that has a nice office here in Dublin. Toast developed softwares for restaurants, and it's a basically we cover the whole restaurant needs about management, and we are hiring. Please, if you want to join us, it's gonna be a big pleasure to talking about Toast or what we are doing. Just reach me out in the LinkedIn or in my email. I will leave all those things by the end. Okay. So, state management. It's a quite complex stuff to describe. I would say that if you ask 100 developers, you will probably have 200 different point of views about state management. It's not so clear. However, in an extremely high level, we can say that state management is the ability that a software has to manage the flow of the application knowledge itself. Basically, whatever data that you have in your flow and you want to manage it, it's a state management. Okay? Button text, a form data, uh, a data that you retrieve from a database or whatever, from an API, everything that you have a mutated data, it's a state management. Okay, why it's important? Uh, Having a well implemented state management in your application basically will give you the ability to know who, when, and why some data has been changed in your data flow. State management makes those changes predictable and also help you to debug and maintain your code. So, just I suppose that most of us have some experience with web development. I would remember you about AngularJS. It's a great tool. I'm not talking bad things about AngularJS. It has paid my bills for a long time in Brazil, and I do love AngularJS. It's an old friend. It's a feeling that I have with AngularJS, but it's hard to manage the states there because the two-way data binds is a mess. Basically, it's so complicated. You get everything. You really know where the data has been changed and who have been changed and why have been changed. So, okay, state management is cool, but how can we do it? That's the problem with JavaScript. We have tons of different approaches to do it. And I think that while I'm doing that presentation, probably 10 more approaches is going to be created. The people is so creative in JavaScript world. And I'm just talking about of one piece of that big word about state management, like Redux, Kita, Flux, Context API, RxJS, but the subject tonight is Mobx. So, okay, we have a lot of options. Which one should I choose? Before we decide which one we should choose, let's take a look in our competitors. So, on the top, I would have Redux. Redux is a really well-known lib for state management. It's a really powerful, and the developer community really like Redux. Redux has a really small bundle size, and we can follow Redux by the RxJS. I would say it's more known than Redux because it can be used across everyone. Every single lib here can be used across different frameworks, but especially RxJS is used on Angular side, and it's really impressive how much people are using Redux at the moment. We have Flux, it's a state management architecture of Facebook, the Facebook architecture for state management, and we have Mobx. Mobx is not so well known. There is not too much Git stars. The bundle size is a bit big, and if Mobx is not small, if Mobx is not the most popular, why should I use it? Are you crazy, Liu? Why are you expending my time here talking about something that's not good? Because it's easy. And believe to me, it's It's really simple. I don't know about you, but after 20 years developing, I don't want to expand my fingers typing things that I will not use. And I really do. I really think that saving time is saving life. And we can consider Mobx okay, it's a ugly boy. It's not so powerful, but it's a great friend. It can give you a hand when you need. Okay, so Mobx makes the state management simple, scalable, transparently applying functional React programming. Some key points of Mobx. Mobx is a straightforward lib for state management. It's effortless, optimal rendering, and architecture freedom. Just to have an idea, my former company, we used to develop a software in AngularJS there. And at some point, we decided to have a state management. And we have tested the different libs there, which one should be used in our architecture. And Mobx showed the best option for us, just because you have freedom to use Mobx. We can use it in whatever architecture that we want, whatever framework that we want. Basically, if you are using JavaScript, you can use Mobx. Especially for React, we have some special tools that we can use that will make the process of creating a state management in Mobx extremely easy. You see, it's really easy. Okay, just aligning the knowledge here. Let's understand better how Mobx works in state management. Basically, let me find the pointer here. Okay, here. Okay, basically we have actions. Those actions is triggered by events. For example, I can click in a button to trigger an action. That action will update some observable state. Um, that observable state will notify some computed values that can trigger some side effects, and side effects can again trigger some event to trigger some action. And what we can observe here, our data flow goes in just one direction. We don't have that thing that everyone changes everyone and sends information to everywhere, and you never know when the things are going. You have a continuous flow of the data, and you can check, you can inspect each of those layers of those pieces of your architecture. I guess that everyone have seen this picture before. It's a well-known picture to explain about state management. On that side, we have a couple of components representation where I want to share some data between those components. Those components can be siblings, can be parent and child, but no one has a directly communication. Sorry, it's not correct. They don't have a unique way to communicate between them. For example, if that component change some state and it need to be sent to other components, believe to me, without a state management, it will be a so bad task to do. Using a state management, we have a unique store that will send those states across the components, And when I state change some, sorry, when a component change some state, the component will send that information to the store, and the store will share that changed state across the other components. It's much more flexible because if you need to change your store, it's like change up a piece in a or a part of your car. You just go uh, to the store, buy another part, and replace it. It's more or less what we can do using a state management or using Mobx, Redux, Flux, or whatever other state management lib that you want to use. Okay, what is a store? So, doing a simple comparison, I would say that a store it's more or less like a controller on an MVC architecture module. As you know, MVC is a model of architecture when you have a model, controller, and view. The controller itself will manage the information and then send it to the view. We can say that a store in our architecture model, it's a controller because we are gonna remove the responsibility from the components to manage data. The only thing that the component is gonna do is call the store and then show it. That's it. It's not a responsibility of the component. Component is just manage views here. Okay, what is a state? A state basically is the data of your application, whatever data. Can be a property, an object, an array, and a map or set. Whatever data that your application has, it's a state. In a really, really simple way. I'm trying to run a little bit here because I would like to show some code to you, and I'm spending too much time. Okay, then we have observables. Observables are basically states that you can make those changes predictable. Okay, an observable state basically can trigger an atomic reaction. If you check here before, where, okay, that is atomic reaction. Okay, one change and spread the information across the other components. So an observable is a state that has that ability. Then we have actions. Actions, it's just a method that has ability to change states. You cannot change a state directly from your component. You have to use actions to do it. Okay, keep going. Then we have computed. That is basically data that are sensible for the states change. Giving a simple example, imagine that you have a state with a list of products and you want to know the total of amount of price of your products. Your products list is your state. The total amount of product, it's your computed value. Because if I add more products or if I remove some product, I will have that value changed. Then it's a computed value. In really high level explanation would be it. So let's sit down. I guess that, yeah, I spent a little bit time, but we can't do it yet. So I have here a really simple React app. That application has been created by React Creation. I just typed npm x create a React app and give a name to my application. And then I create here 3 different components. I have a form, I have a grid, I have a summary, and the app itself that is a wrap of my application. Okay, let's open here the right, and that's my application. It's basically I want to have a form that can add salaries here, and then I would like to see those summary here, like with the number of records, the total of salaries that I have, and the salary average that I have. Okay, how can we do it? Uh, that application doesn't have anything of Mobx yet. I'm going to start from the totally scratch with you. So basically, we need to install here two packets, Mobx and Mobx React. That's it. So if you are familiar with React, probably you know the context API. Um, why I'm going to use context API here? Because I need to have a store, and that store need to be shared between those three components. And actually, I'm going to inject it here. I have an app, and inside that app, I have three other components: form, grid, and summary. Then I want to somehow inject a store here. So I will first of all create a folder here called stores, because using Mobx you can have how many stores you want to have, managing specific parts of data of your application. And inside stores, I will create a file called salaries store.js, and it have to import. Let me start from the beginning. I will create a function called store, and that function will return an observable. I have to import it here. Let me up some code just to avoid typing too much. And there we go. Okay, that's our store. That's it. It's so complex, like I told, because I love Mobx. I have a store here with a salaries state that is an npt array, and it's an observable. I have created a new instance of that store, and I'm exporting it. Done. My store is totally done here. So just in order to spread it in a better way across the other components, I will create a context API here. I will create another folder called contests. And inside that folder, I will create another file called store context, sorry. And then I will have my context here. So what this context does, I create a new context here, and that context is going to receive an npit object. So everything starts here with an npit object. And then inside of my index HTML, I will have my store provider wrapping my app, and here, okay. Okay, store provider need to have a value. The value is the context itself that's going to be passed through the other components here. So what this guy is complaining about? Okay, let me copy it. Okay. So inside of that value, I'm passing the store that I already created. That store here is the file that I just created here. Okay. So on that way, now all of my components have that store already. So basically, I will just for a simple test here to show you the what this context does, what this store does. Sorry, I will create here simple simple object with rule and then a salary. Okay, I'm just storing some data already inside of my salary here. So inside of my component grid, if I come here, I can retrieve that data already. Um, just to don't spend time typing it, let me copy. So just a simple trick here, our component have to use our component have to use a context hook to get the context itself, and this is the context that I want to have. It's my context store. Okay, and then inside of it, I will. Okay. So basically, what I'm doing, I'm getting the store, I'm getting the salaries inside of store, and I'm filling up uh, that table row with a role and a salary. That is a simple. It's a simple currency formattation. There is nothing special here. And there we go. Let's see if we can see things here. Okay, I guess that I wrote the name. Okay, I got it. Sorry for my if I'm typing it wrong. My English is not my superpower. Okay, now I already have here my my salary for sales assistant here. So what I want to have now, I want to type some new role here and some new salary here. And when I save, I expect that it comes straight to the grid. How can I do that? So I do you remember that I told you that we can't change states uh, inside of our components. I have to do it inside of the stores. Then I have to use an action method. And how can I create an action method inside of a store? It's simple, like creating uh, a state itself. Basically, uh, basically, I just need to have a new method here. Call it set salary. That set salary, it's gonna push a new salary that I'm gonna pass here inside of the salaries. Okay, and then inside of my form, I will also use my context, and then using my context, I will set my salary here on my on submit. I'm passing the whole and the salary here, and there we go. Let's see. Let's save. Okay. um, software engineer, and hey, what is happening here? So a component that will be aware of changes in the state have to be an observer. Sorry, observable is the state itself. Observer is the component that will react through the change on the states. So again, let me just copy my code here. Don't want to spend too much time. And basically, I need to have an, okay, it's already here. I need to have that observer imported, and I will just wrap my component here with the observer method. Let's save it. Let's see it again. Okay, it's already here. If I call doctor, I don't know how much money a doctor does in English, but just in Ireland, it's just a assumption. Okay, and it's automatically. And when I change, my store just trigger the whole information across the component that need to show. So how can I do this summary? Because the summary needs to have some data calculation to use it here. And also, it's so simple to create a computed values in Mobx. Basically, what we have to do is I will copy and paste everything together here, and I can explain after that. So those methods are get, because I don't have to invoke the method inside of my component when I'm calling the store. It's just I set the reference of the name, and it will be there. So in my summary component here, I also have to use context, and I also need to turn it in an observable, an observer. Sorry, again, those names are two equals, and I always confuse. Okay, again, my component is an observer, and then I will have my star here. My store, where's my store? My store is here. Okay, my store has a number of records, a total of salary, and the salary average get methods, right? Then I will just import like this, decomposing those values, and I will replace those zeros here by, I don't have my lint configured here, sorry. It needs to be by hand. And then and boom, it's magic. Oops, it doesn't work. It's magic, it doesn't work. Okay, I have to reload it. So again, okay, it's here. Okay, it's here. Yeah, cool. So I will just replace simple thing here just to have numbers well formatted. And oops, get out. Okay. Basically, okay, the biggest job here was done on React side in order to have the components, but the React, the Mobx store itself is just it. It's a state, uh, an action method, and those three computed methods. And basically, it is Mobx. So complex to implement, and you can raise if you have to raise some project quickly, and if uh, you have to perform a POC, or you have to implement some quick stuff. Believe to me, Mobx it's a great option to you. And then let me find here the place where we was. Okay, and that's it. Thank you very much. That's my email, leonardomm@gmail.com. That's my LinkedIn, and those are the official uh, documentation of Mobx. Mobx has a nice documentation, has a couple of videos there as well that you can use for your consultation and questions. Don't ask me.
All right. Thanks so much, Leonardo. That was great. Okay, so it's going to take a little while for the stream to catch up with us, but hopefully some questions will start rolling in. We do have one, but I kind of don't want to jump the gun, so maybe we'll wait just a little while longer. Um, yeah, because the stream is just seeing the questions page now. Um, yes. So while they formulate their questions, let's see if I can correctly read and understand the question because it's quite technical. So Gonzalo asks, quick questions could affect the what could affect the number of storage we create to the performance in some way. So I think he's worried about different stores affecting browser performance.
Yeah, Mobex is not a guide to manage too much data. I do not recommend you use Mobex in big application, but the components are isolated itself. If you are not using different different stores inside of the same component, I don't think that you have too much to worry. And also, you can isolate parts of your components to be an observable. If you have a component with a big amount of HTML, you don't have to make everything reactive. You can just get a piece of code. Uh, Actually, you can make an observer uh, whatever you can use as a component in React. Like you can use a function, you can use a class, you can use a piece of HTML, whatever. It can be an observable. And I guess that if you can manage well the parts of your application that you want to be reactive and don't pushing a lot of stores inside of just one component, there is not too much to worry.
Okay, cool. So thankfully Gonzalo heard our request for more questions and asked another question.
Thank you.
Um, so so Gonzalo would like to know if there's anything similar to the Redux dev tools for use with Mobx or Mobx.
Mobx does some tools, but I'm not so familiar. I know that the documentation has something about it, but I do not use. Sorry, I have never used it, and I would recommend you check Mobx JS. I don't remember the website. Sorry. Yeah, mobx.js.org. It has some things there, but uh, just a clarification: the community of users in React, it's in React, no, in Redux, it's it's so big, and Mobx is not so big, and of course you are gonna have too much more support using Redux than using Mobx. I'm not here saying that Mobx is better than Redux. Jesus, I'm not saying it. Redux is much more powerful than Mobx. Mobx is just an option for quick stuff. Is it clear?
Yes. Oh yeah. Sorry. Uh, those listening at home, I'm nodding. I'm not on video. Uh, so okay. That seems to be our questions for now. Maybe we'll give it another minute or so, see if anyone asks another one, and then wrap up for the night. But yeah, I must say, I think you spoke very well. I think you did a great job, and I know Tom from Toast is in the chat singing your praises as well. So
Yeah, he's a big friend, but I'm afraid to answer Tom's question. He's so technical.
he hasn't asked one yet. Yeah. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there, folks. Um,
Okay. I
so
just would like to say once more, thank you very much for the opportunity. And when you need, just ping me. It's a big pleasure. I really like that place of sharing some knowledge. I'm not a specialist at all. I'm just a guy that is curious about technology, and would be great to talk to you again.
I think it's fair to say you're a specialist, but but thanks so much for coming on.